Hey guys, it's Kathy. I just wanted to tell you all about a couple of resources that you may be interested in. First is the weekly newsletter called the FUMS Friday Night Six Pack. It goes out at 5 p.m. Eastern every Friday because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? It contains links to the top 6 happenings in the world of MS that week. Another great email list to sign up for, the Patients Getting Paid list. I'm working on an online course for those of us in the chronic community that either lost our jobs and need some flexible opportunities or that just want to supplement their existing income. Think being able to work from an infusion center or home or wherever and getting paid. If that sounds like something you might be interested in learning more about, sign up at fumsnow.com/patients getting paid, and I'll let you know as soon as I launch that course. Thanks, everybody, and FUMS. Welcome to the FUMS Now podcast show, where you'll gain information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with multiple sclerosis. Find us online at FUMSnow.com. I'm your host, Kathy Reagan Young. Welcome to the second in the series on International MS Diagnosis and Treatment Stories, where I'm interviewing people from several different countries to hear what their experiences are like in comparison to ours here in the U.S. Today's guest is Robert Joyce, who lives in a quaint little rural town in Ireland. Doesn't that just sound lovely? Check out his Instagram account for pictures of the beautiful landscape he gets to call home. Robert was diagnosed with MS 27 years ago when he was just 23. His is a story of resiliency and great support. He has owned several businesses, been a business consultant, raised 2 kids, and was even the head of a sporting organization in Ireland. Robert's MS had been in remission for nearly a decade when he was in what seemed like a minor car accident in 2014. Unfortunately, the injury he sustained to his neck brought on a headache that continues to this day, and once again brought his MS out of its slumber. He now operates in 30-minute increments, hence the name of his blog, A 30-Minute Life. I'll link to it in the show notes. He's a very interesting person, and I'm so happy he's here today. Let's go meet Robert Joyce. So, hi, Robert. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And there's that accent. Okay, so we just finished up with St. Patty's Day, and I am Irish, and so I just have to say what I say every St. Patrick's Day, and I just wait to say this. So here's my Irish brogue. Ready? Top of the morning to you, and the rest of the day as well, me laddie. What do you think? Is that good?
It's all right. It's fine.
Come on. All right. I'll work on it. So this is such an interesting conversation that I'm having with all these people from different countries and learning about their diagnosis story and their treatment and the treatment, not just with medication, but treatment in their country and treatment by their employers and treatment with their family and friends. It's illuminating is what it is. So I thank you again for being here, and let's get to the questions. So you obviously have MS. What type of symptoms did you first notice and when, if you don't mind just sharing that diagnosis story?
So maybe to put it into a little bit of perspective, I'm now 50 years old. Okay. So I was diagnosed when I was 23. So that's 27 years ago. And it was in London when I was working over there. It was my first job. Mm-hmm. So I had done a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Ireland, and I was training as a chartered accountant in London. Mm-hmm. And I had been over there for about a month and a half, and I was going to travel back to Ireland for my graduation in October. So it was a nice trip to come back, and I had a job that I was earning money, and it was great. Yay. Life was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I came back, and on the trip, I noticed that my heels were numb. I couldn't feel them. Really odd. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I attributed it to coming back to Ireland, which is a very damp and wet country, and London is beautifully dry, and it was warm and sunny. So it was I thought, a natural thing to happen when you come back to Ireland. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think anything of it, and it disappeared after a week or so. But then it came back again after a couple of weeks, and I just thought it was odd. And the numbness kind of crawled up my leg a little bit, so it was up to maybe halfway up my shin. So I went to the doctor in London, a GP, and she got me to tell my symptoms, and she asked me to come back in a week or two. And I came back again, and the symptoms had gone, but they had come back. And it was further up my leg, and I was kind of feeling a little bit of bladder problems. And so it was really freaky because I felt numb. And she referred me to Queen Square in London, which is a neurological hospital run by the National Health Service in the UK. And I went through a whole battery of tests because she said there could be a problem maybe with the trapped nerve or something like that might cause the issue. And this test, that was October when I had my first symptoms. That was in December when I went into hospital for these tests. Now remember, this is 27 years ago. And I got all these kind of function tests, brain function tests, and I had a lumbar puncture, and I had an MRI scan with gadolinium enhancement at the time. And the testing took about 2 days or so, but the headache that I had from the lumbar puncture, oh my God, that was brutal. That was absolutely, I couldn't stand up straight. And the only way that I could get relief was if I was bent over like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I was a bit like Quasimodo hobbling around.
Yeah, at 23.
At 23, yeah. And I got home and took about a week to recover from all that testing.
Yeah.
And then in January, I was called back to my neurologist, and it was actually on my birthday. And he told me that actually you've got multiple sclerosis. And
happy birthday.
And happy birthday, yeah. And but that was at that time, 3 months from first symptom to diagnosis was like unheard of.
Crazy fast.
Yeah. But I was extremely lucky in the fact that the GP that I went to, she had multiple sclerosis herself.
Oh, nice. I mean, not nice, but you know what I'm saying. She directed
you. It was really fortunate. And then she sent me to a neurologist whose special interest was multiple sclerosis.
Wow. Nice. So, that worked out.
That was, you know, it was tick, 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 tick. Like it went really fast. And it went really well, very smoothly. And I asked the doctor, the neurologist, is there anything that I can do? And he said, no, there's really nothing you can do. At that time, there was no treatments for multiple sclerosis. But the one thing that he said was that you could take evening primrose oil because it got gamma linoleic acid in it, which is the molecules that are part of the building blocks that help make up the myelin sheath for people with MS.
Wow. So and also good for hot flashes during menopause, just saying.
Apparently it's good for that too.
It is.
And I have been taking that for 27 years.
Wow.
So, that was my initial diagnosis. And from, 3 months, very quick.
Wow, that was very quick. So, was your GP in Ireland and she sent you to England? Is that what I heard you say?
No, everything. I was living in London.
Gotcha.
I had just come back from my graduation, which was only a 2-day trip or a 3-day trip.
Oh, okay.
And was back working in London, doing type of stuff that accountants do, which is not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world.
Numbery stuff. Yeah.
Numbery stuff, yeah. And it was that was the whole thing. But what was interesting is that in London the GPs are free, the doctor is free, the neurologist is free, the MRI scans were free. I did happen to have health insurance, so I got to have a private room in the hospital. Yeah. But that's what my health insurance got me. It just got me a private room. All the testing and stuff was all provided free of charge.
Jeez. And this was while you were a college student or newly graduated, I guess, too.
Newly graduate I was on the princely sum of £12,000 a year salary. And I thought I was a millionaire.
The optimism of youth. So, okay, that was in England. So then when did you get back to Ireland?
So I stayed in London for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I had relapsing remitting MS, and it was mainly of a spinal form. So there was no lesions in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
The main lesions are in my neck. And so I had problems with mobility. So walking was a problem. My right leg would get bad, and then it'd get better and bad and better. I had a bit of problem with my bladder. Fatigue. Oh my God, that was just horrendous.
Yeah.
And it was really, really tough. Like I remember even in the mornings in wintertime, it would be in the house would be lovely and warm, whatever, 20 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, thank you. Oh, so toasty at 20.
Whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I don't know. That's old money, the Fahrenheit stuff.
Right. Stuff yeah, no. We're holding on to it though, by God.
They're holding on to it for dear life. Just, yeah, I don't get it. But they do that in the UK as well. They love Fahrenheit as well.
Oh, good to know.
So, and I'd come outside and it'd be 0 degrees, which is freezing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
And I would walk out and I'd be walking perfectly in the house. No problem. And within maybe, I'm going to say, maybe 200 yards for the American.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Thanks for throwing a yards in there. That was good.
That's it. So if I would be walking up the road, maybe 200 yards, and suddenly my leg would say, I'm not doing this. Mm-hmm. And it would slow down and I would be hobbling to the train station.
Wow. Due to the cold.
Just to the cold. Yeah. It was like, it was literally my leg had just said, that's it. This is too cold. My left leg was perfect. Absolutely fantastic. My right leg, it said it was on the go slow.
Oh gosh.
So I found that very difficult.
Yeah.
And it was very exhausting because you did not know what was going to hit you around the corner. And,
familiar.
And I was carrying my briefcase and I had my umbrella but I was walking crooked. So my back was sore, like I was twisted.
Sure.
And so you had all these other knock-on effects of what you just thought was a limp actually cascades and it becomes a bigger issue.
Right. So then what brought you back to Ireland?
It just became too much. I was, I was working maybe 6-hour days and I was working a 4-day week. The employers that I had in London were fantastic. They were just incredibly appreciative of the work that I did and were willing to accommodate my specific needs.
So you didn't hide it. You told them.
I told the human resource department, who then told my manager, which was fine.
Okay.
So that they could alter the work that I was doing so that it would accommodate my illness better. So I would have clients that were closer to where I live. I would be in the office more than out at clients. If I needed to come in late in the morning, that was okay.
Fantastic.
If I needed to go home early, that was okay. Now they didn't alter my salary. They didn't change what I got paid. They just accommodated the fact that I had a particular requirement that made me less able to do things in the traditional sense. Okay. But I still got my work done.
Yeah.
But I just did it in a shorter period of time.
So they valued you. They valued you and they valued your work enough to accommodate.
Exactly. And believe it or not, in that first year of the intake of students, there was 8 of us, I was the only one to get a bonus that year.
Oh my gosh.
What
a great story.
But it just showed you that they didn't see the fact that my illness, they didn't see it as a limitation.
Right.
They see it as a reason to ignore me. And they actually were very sad when I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, because it was just, it wasn't fair on me. It wasn't fair on them. My ability to do the work was becoming worse. And even studying at night for my exams was becoming really unbearable. So I came back to Ireland about a year and a half after I went to London.
Gotcha. I just want to remind everybody that what you just described as, this wonderful accommodating employer situation was 27 years ago.
Correct. Yeah.
That's just mind blowing to me because we
Isn't
haven't
it?
even caught up to that yet here today. Okay. Wow. Mind blown. So you go back to Ireland and now what did you do then? You're not medically retired at this point.
No. Well, yes, I was when I came back to Ireland. I came back. I would say I was licking my wounds. Okay. I was damaged and battered and bruised and traumatized.
I needed
to heal. And I came home and I moved back in with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother, we got the Swank diet book.
Oh, yeah.
At the time. Mm-hmm. And she put me on that diet, and it was like religious. So there was no fried food, there was no dairy, there was no. She looked after me from a diet point of view extremely well. I didn't have to get up in the morning. I didn't have to do things. Okay, yeah. They look after me, but I also went to the social welfare services. And I explained my situation, that I had multiple sclerosis. I was in London. I came back. And they put me on what was called at the time the Disabled Persons Maintenance Allowance. So I had an income. And I can't remember how much it was at the time, because my brain doesn't go back that far. Right. But they did put me on this payment. And I also got a medical card, which meant that I didn't have to pay for any doctor services. And so I had an income and I had my medical looked after, and I could then start to recover. Right? Yeah. Now, I was very fortunate. Family had a business. My parents had a craft shop, and they gave me a corner of it with a separate entrance. And I set up my own little craft shop called the Country Shop, selling Aran sweaters and bits of marble and crocheted linen to the American tourists that used to come to Ireland for their holidays in the summer. So I started to get myself back into the world of work again, but I was my own boss. I got to dictate when I started work and when I finished. And I had one wonderful woman, Maureen, who worked for me, and she did the heavy lifting. She made sure the shop operated well, did everything that was meant to happen. Now, Maureen, she changed my nappies when I was a baby. So
she's known you for a while.
She's known me a long, long time. So, and I still meet her to this day. But she made that whole transition work much, much better.
Fantastic. So, wow. I don't even know where to start with this. This is so exciting to me. Okay. So what is the medical card that you mentioned? Is that only available if you sort of are deemed disabled, or does everyone get one of those in Ireland?
It in the last 27 years, it has gone through various changes. Okay. So I'll tell you what it is now.
Okay.
Right. Okay. If you have a chronic illness, you will probably get a medical card.
Okay.
Okay. If you are over 65, you automatically get a GP visit card. So that means you can see your general practitioner at any stage, no problem. And it doesn't matter what your income is, state of health, you automatically get it. And I think if you're up to the age of 7, you get it as well. So young children, elderly people get a GP visit card automatically. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Automatically, whether you have an illness or not. Okay. If you have a chronic illness, then there's 2 particular systems. One is if you have a good income, right? If you have an income, for MS, you go onto the long-term illness scheme. Okay. And that means that all your medication is paid for.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And I'm talking about ibuprofen, paracetamol. It could be beta interferon, it could be Ocrevus, whatever the medication is that your doctor prescribes you for the treatment of your multiple sclerosis, it is paid for. Okay.
Wow, that's
100%. There's no, you actually pay nothing. Now, then if your income is under a certain level, you will get a medical card. And I think the income is something like if you earn less than about 200 euros a week, you're entitled to a medical card. And that means that you have free doctor, you've got dentist, you've got optician, all your devices and that type of stuff are all paid for. If you get medicines, for every prescription, for each medicine that you get, you have to pay 2 euros to get the prescription filled, and that's it. Okay, per month. So that's our medical system here, and yeah, that's the way it works.
And how does it work in terms of seeing a doctor? I mean, do you just call and make your own appointments to sort of a GP or a primary care type of doc? And then if you need to see a neurologist, does the primary care need to make that appointment, or are you able to make appointments whenever you want, or is it at a prescribed, every 4 months or something like that?
Okay, so I live in rural Ireland.
Okay.
I live on the very western seaboard. The next stop is probably Hudson Bay.
Oh my gosh. The picture in my head is so beautiful.
I live in a beautiful part of Ireland. It is absolutely stunning. We're right on the sea. We have mountains. We have beaches.
If you would send me a picture, I'd really appreciate it, and I will post it with this podcast.
If you check out my Instagram or on Facebook, or I have a blog as well, you will see tons of pictures, because I can't not share them. Okay.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So, but
I'm almost ready to say goodbye really quick. I could go take a look, but I won't. I'm sorry.
There you go. So where was I now?
We were talking about the doctor. So if
the doctor.
You just call it schedule.
So being in rural Ireland, it's not quite as busy as it would be in a city. So
sure.
I can't tell you what it would be like if it was out in Galway or in Dublin.
Yeah.
But if I need to see the doctor now, I just go to the doctor and I see him now. Basically. Okay.
What a concept.
So, that's the GP.
Okay.
And so that's pretty good. I like to phone up first and say, but it takes me a half an hour to get to my doctor. It's a half an hour drive. Right?
You're out there.
I live in rural Ireland.
Yeah. Rural.
Yeah. So the doctor is very, very accessible, and I can give him a call, and if he can help me over the phone, he'll help me over the phone. The neurologist is a whole other story.
Okay.
One of the problems that we have here in Ireland is we don't have enough neurologists. Okay. We have maybe a third of the number that we should have.
Oh.
And that puts incredible pressure and strain on the neurologists that are here. So they have huge waiting lists.
Gotcha.
So if I'm under the public scheme, if I want to see an initial appointment for a neurologist, if it's a non-emergency case, could take years.
Whoa.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
It could take years. As a private patient, I can skip the queue, or the line, as you would say.
Yeah. Thank you for interpreting.
I can skip the line, and it becomes a lot shorter. But I pay to see my neurologist. So I don't use the public system. I use the private system. It still can take 4 months before I get to see my neurologist. Because
of the lack of sheer numbers.
We don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
And that puts incredible strain and pressure on the consultants that are here. And for example, now last year, I needed to get a prescription for one of my medications, low-dose naltrexone, which is the therapy that I use. It took 2 months to get the prescription.
Whoa.
from the time I contacted to the time it arrived in my door. Now, I was able to get the prescription from my GP. It didn't matter. There wasn't panic. There was no crisis. But it did take 2 months. Now, it just happened that he was off sick.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And there was nobody to cover for him.
Well, what the hell was he thinking? He's not allowed to be sick.
There you go. You see? And
yeah. So,
that happened. That's the real world.
Sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of why there are so few neurologists? I mean, I'm imagining people listening to this, Americans, saying, well, you can't get doctors over there because you're not able to pay them because you're not paying exorbitant fees like we are.
Yeah. And that would be true. Okay. Right? The neurologists can earn more if they go to the United States.
Gotcha.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to, but also they're going to have access to more hospitals. They may have access to being able to do research.
Sure.
There are things like that they
more
would
opportunity.
have.
Yeah.
The neurologists that would be living in Galway, they're living in Galway because they want to live in Galway. Right. And Galway's a beautiful city. It's a small city, population of about 65,000. It's got 2 universities. It's on the sea. It's got access to Connemara. It is a wonderful, relaxed, youthful, vibrant city.
Are you with the Chamber of Commerce for Ireland? I so want to go there. I wanted to go before I spoke to you. Now I can't wait.
Look, I'm from here, but I've been all over. I used to live in California when I was a young lad.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So I've lived in London. I've lived in various different places around the world. And when you move out of where you're from, you have a greater appreciation for the things that you have where you are.
No question.
And
that's so true.
But it exposes you to different ways that people live and the way they do things and the way they operate. And you see the flaws that you have in your country and which we do here. Like these lists are really difficult. Yeah. But once you get into the system, it's excellent.
Right. And the point I just want to bring up too, you said, it takes a long time potentially to see a neurologist, but that was non-emergency. So if you had something going on, if you had a relapse coming on or something major going on, would you be put at the front of the queue?
Yes, absolutely.
See what I did there? Okay. That's a point that needs to be made too. Also, you mentioned private insurance. So there is that's available to you to purchase private insurance, and that kind of also moves you to the front of the queue.
It does, yeah. It does, yeah.
How much is private insurance, and is it monthly, yearly? How is that?
You're sitting down, aren't you? I presume.
Yes.
Okay, so I pay health insurance. I have a very basic plan. Okay, but it allows me to see a consultant. Blah 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 blah. I'm charged €45 a month for my health insurance. Okay, but the fee that I have to pay for my neurologist is €120 per visit.
Okay,
that's his full fee. Okay. And if I spend more than X amount of money, and I actually don't know what that X is, but it's in the hundreds. Okay. Maybe €300 or something like that. If I spend more than €300 on doctors or medical stuff in the year, I get some of that money refunded to me. Okay. And I think of the 120, I'd probably get €50 back. Something like that. Okay.
Boy.
But 120 isn't bad. Like that's I would pay that all day long. Like that's not a problem.
No question. And by the way, I don't know how that equates, but I know it's low based on American dollar. I will figure that out and put it in the show notes. So I'm just going to tell everybody, go to the show notes, go to FUMSnow.com/podcast, find this podcast. I will put the American equivalent dollar value in there, and I'm confident that your heads will explode.
So I can't do it now because I'm offline. Otherwise, I'd do it. I get it's not that much. 100. No. It's about maybe. I think it's about $130, something like that.
Oh my gosh! And then, do you need to file for insurance? Do you need to file and like pay it ahead of time and then they pay you back? And you need
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And is it lots and lots of paperwork and you have to call and bug them to?
Oh, no. There's a whole the way the system works in Ireland for health insurance, we have what's called community rating. Okay. So that means that everybody, it doesn't matter what age you are, what state of health you're in, you pay the same rate for your health insurance if you're going private. They cannot discriminate based on age, health condition, sex, anything. Everybody pays exactly the same rate for your health insurance.
Wow.
Okay? That's called community rating. Okay. Yeah. And the theory is that people who are well and healthy are contributing more for the people who are less well. So the community as a whole benefits from that. Absolutely. They didn't want to create this system where you have a weighting for people who are ill. And that means, the first year they'll pay your stuff, but the second year your premium will go through the roof because you've made a claim. Right? And suddenly, I can't pay that, and you end up not getting health insurance.
Right.
So that's actually counter the concept of insurance. The concept of insurance is that the group helps to even out the cost because it's balanced between
for the group.
For the group, right? Mm-hmm. That's the whole idea. That's why, anyway, that's the system.
Yeah.
And we're fierce advocates of that.
Yeah.
We
me
are,
too. And I would love to move, but whatever. I can't do it.
That's what we do. Okay. Now the most expensive the health insurance would cost me, if I went for the top scheme, would be about €600 a month. Okay. That would be the very most it would be.
The Cadillac version. Got it.
Yeah. And that means you get to go into a private room in a private hospital in Dublin, right? And there's maybe 2 hospitals like that, and they're mainly cardiac hospitals. Okay. It's completely different.
Yeah. Now, are you offered ancillary treatments? Like, could you get a massage therapy or, I don't know, nutritional counseling, stuff like that? Does that all count too, or is that separate?
That's very modern, that type of stuff.
Okay, rural Ireland. Forgot. Sorry.
No, that's not included, and that wouldn't be that wouldn't really be included under the private health insurance either.
No matter where you are in Ireland.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Got it. Okay,
and it's
that's
not
separate.
under the public system either. That type of stuff. Nutritionalists, possibly you would get them. But it would be mainly things like physiotherapists, occupational therapists, that type of thing.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. That are more maybe recognized. Well, I mean, nutritional counseling sounds like Ireland just needs your mother because she hooked you up, right? She got that swank diet and she said, this is what we're sticking to. Love it. So in general, are people given time off of their jobs to attend to things like treatments or doctor visits without penalty? Or like, for instance, we might get, when you start a job, you might be given 2 weeks off in a year, maybe 3 if you're super lucky. And that needs to include so if you need an MRI, you see where I'm going with this.
You have a very different system in the United States.
Okay, so tell me what it's like over there.
So the minimum amount of holidays that you have in a year is 20 days holidays. That's the minimum.
Okay. Wow.
Plus, there are 10 what we call bank holidays or public holidays that you get as well. Okay. So you've got 30 days holidays in a year. Okay.
That's a little different.
But those are holidays, right?
Yeah.
A holiday is a holiday. If you're sick, it's not a holiday.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So you have sick days. Okay.
Okay.
And
we have
depending on your employer, you might have 3 or 5, 6 days in a year, sick days in a year, whatever that is.
Okay.
But say, for example, that you have to go off sick for a month or 2 months. Mm-hmm. Depending on your employer, your employer would say, well, you're still an employee, but we can't pay you now because you're ill.
Not working.
But then the government comes in and they pay you what's called an illness benefit. Okay. And so that illness benefit for somebody who, has paid up all their public health insurance levies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you've been paying into this.
Yeah, you're paying into this.
Yeah.
They get, I think it's 190 euros a week is what you get under illness benefit. Now, that's at the bottom end of what you'd be earning, but you're getting something.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And is it hard to get that? Like, is it a hassle to get that? Do you have to go
no, what's your
interview
doctor?
After interview? Do you need to get an attorney?
No.
Oh my God. I'm coming to Ireland.
That's not. I'm on disability allowance, okay. Which is a means tested payment, but it is for people who have disabilities, of which I am one, okay. And so they look at the income of the household and they say, well, what is the minimum income that household should have according to our system? And whatever you need to top it up to that minimum, that's what they'll pay you. Okay. So in my instance, I'm getting 154 euros a week is my disability allowance. That's what I get. My partner has a full-time job, so she has her income. But I also get extra help towards heating oil and for electricity and, television and a few things like that. Plus, of course, I've got pre-medical. Right? That doesn't cost me.
Yeah.
So, and also on my car, there's if I bought a new car, I don't have to pay the same price as everybody else. I get to get some of the tax back, and also in the fuel, there's tax in the fuel. I get to get some of that tax back. So for every liter of fuel, I get something like 60 cents back, which is what's that? I don't know what that is.
Wow. And is that like a separate card that you bring with you? So if you got to fill up your car, you use that?
My car. No, I get that refund at the end of the year. So
I see. Okay.
Keep all the receipts and say I've used this many liters of fuel, and then they send me a check.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So it's okay. It's not big money.
Yeah.
Okay. 154 euros a week isn't big, but it's stable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I know what it is.
And you're not making a choice between whether you get your medicine or you eat.
No. See, this is the system that we have here is your medical costs are covered. Okay, so I'm doing this interview here now. In another half an hour's time, I'm going to be at my physiotherapist, which is provided for by the state. Okay, and I'll be doing my half an hour physio session. And I had that last week, and I'll have it next week. Right. Prior to that, the MS Society was giving me physiotherapy sessions because I'm using a new device new to Ireland called functional electrical stimulation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is, for me, a miracle.
Good.
But I am looking to see if I can get that device for me to use at home.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that the Irish government will pay for that device for me, and that will allow me to walk.
Holy cow. I just heard lots of FUMSers' heads exploding. This is mind-blowing. This is really mind-blowing. So interesting. What is the protocol for relapse? Is there steroid infusions like it is here?
Yeah. It's usually, pretty much
okay.
the same. Yeah.
Is marijuana legal in your country and used for MS? No. That was a quick answer.
No.
Okay. Is there much talk of that? I mean,
yes.
People talk about it all the time. How about CBD oil? Because that's got the THC removed. Yeah. Okay, that's used there.
Yeah.
With great success? I mean,
I've had good success with it myself.
Yeah, good. Me too.
I found it particularly helpful when I was using the FES device. It helped to get those neural pathways working.
What's that device? What device are you using?
It's called functional electrical stimulation. So what it does is I put on my leg, on my thigh, and just below my knee, and it makes my hamstring muscle work.
Yeah.
So using it electrically, it contracts the muscle.
Yeah.
And the one below my knee helps with foot drop so that I don't stumble over my toe.
Yeah. So this is, we call that E-stim here. Yeah, electrical stimulation. Yeah, same thing.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
And then, you use CBD oil on that? Or do you take it, ingest it, or put it there?
I take it.
Okay,
now I am about 6 foot.
Okay.
And what is my weight in pounds? I don't. Oh God!
So much conversion in this conversation.
I don't know. Why don't you use kilos like normal people?
Oh, I was going to say, are you going to tell me in stones?
Yeah. Well, I'm 14 stone.
Okay. What in the hell does that mean?
Pounds. Okay. I'm about 200 pounds.
Okay. Good. Okay. 6 foot, 200 pound. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not too bad,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
Svelte dude. Okay.
Well, I would say different. I could use losing maybe another 20 pounds, but
who cares? Let's be honest. Okay, go
ahead. I have to take a full dropper of 10% CBD oil morning and evening to have an effect.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I have to take a larger dose.
Yeah.
Some people have 2 drops under the, and it works fine for them, of 3%. And that's just
so. And does that, what do you, is it helping like with spasticity? Is it helping your muscles relax? Is it helping you sleep? Like, what benefit are you seeing?
Fortunately, sleep is okay for me. That hasn't been an issue. It's helping with the spasticity bit, but it's helping. I think it helps with just that the nerves are working better. The signal is getting through stronger.
It's like greasing up the skids.
Exactly, yeah.
To the nerves. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, last question, Robert. If you could change anything about diagnosis and treatment of MS in your country, what would it be? It doesn't have to be anything, because frankly, it doesn't sound like there's much to improve on.
You see, the thing is, this is it. No system is perfect.
Right.
Every system has its flaws and every system has its weaknesses. And our weakness is that there aren't enough neurological services in this country. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough neurologists. We don't have enough MS nurses available. Mm-hmm. There isn't neuro-rehabilitative care available in the country. So there is a big weakness in that area, and that needs to be resolved. Even, for example, the MS Society in Ireland is the provider for respite care for people with MS. Mm-hmm. And they can only fund it for about 3/4 of the year. There's a quarter of the year when they actually have to close it because they don't have sufficient funding. Now, some of that funding comes from the state, the government, but the rest is done by volunteers going out fundraising, of which I'll be doing this coming weekend. I'll be at the local church outside the gate, asking people for money for MS.
Nice.
But it is, every system has its weakness, and the waiting lists in Ireland can be really horrendous.
Right.
Because it's a public system.
And you don't have enough caregivers.
We don't, and it's a budget. They have a certain amount of money that they can spend on it, and that's why that's one of the challenges of our system is that because it's a public system, it is dependent on how well the country is doing as a whole. Mm-hmm. Now, in Ireland, we're pretty good. We balance our budgets most years. We had a huge crisis there about 10 years ago, 2008, that whole crisis. The country nearly went bankrupt. Mm-hmm. But we've nearly paid back all the debt that we got to keep us going, right? And we're running surpluses now. Mm-hmm. So we're putting money back into the pot again for a rainy day.
Nice. Okay? Those Irish, you can always count on them.
Well, it's if you look at the United States, you run a deficit, and it's like it's getting
crazy
more and more all the time.
Yeah, we borrow from our kids and our grandkids. We go, you worry about it.
But it's you don't have a population that is expanding quick enough,
right,
to fund that. Because you need to have more people. Right. To pay for it. It's just
and now we're stopping them at the border. No, we don't want any more. Don't get me started. I'm sorry. I digress. I digress. Okay, so you just need some more caregivers and to do that, you need to expand the budget, basically.
That's it. Now, the system is very good. Say, for example, if I needed more care at home, okay, and I was less capable, they would actually pay for a carer, or if my partner had to stop work, they would pay her so that she can afford to come off work, okay, to be the caregiver. So we do have ways of compensating for the weaknesses in our system.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, we would be nice to have more.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have more neurologists in particular.
Sure. It just sounds like there's so much stress alleviated by your system that we feel on a daily basis that, you know what, it's from the time we're born, we know no different. So I haven't spent the kind of time thinking about these things that I have since I've started interviewing folks from other countries. And I'm going, that just feels different. That just feels like living different, because the stress of having to pay, for instance, your insurance, or pay for your meds, or trying to set up an MRI and pay for all of that is so inherent to everyday living for those of us, particularly with a chronic disease, and that's not going away. I think there's a level of stress and, cortisol that's being released and everything that we don't even appreciate.
I couldn't imagine living in the United States. It would be horrendous. Like, I because of the blog that I have and the stuff that I do a little bit on social media and stuff, I see this continual battle that you have against insurance companies and against the government.
Yeah.
One of the things that we spoke about this before we came on air was the whole idea of having to sue the government so that you can get your disability payment that you have paid into, and this is part of your social insurance. And you have to sue them to get, like, it is. Yeah. Like, I completed my disability allowance form. It was a long form. It was maybe 15 pages, and I had to get information from my doctor and stuff.
Sure.
But I sent it off, and it came back, and they approved that I was disabled, and that was it. Like that was it. Okay. And suddenly I started getting checks in the post.
Yeah.
And the before I went on disability allowance, the stress that I had of my walking had become so bad. I was doing door-to-door surveys and I wasn't able to knock on doors. I have chronic headache. So every day I have a pain level of about 5 out of 10 on my head. Right. So that is constant. So I'm in constant pain. My mobility was getting worse, and my ability to go out and do the work that I was doing was becoming more and more limited. And I was thinking, can I pay the rent? Right. Will I have enough money for food? Basic things.
Very familiar with that question. Okay. All of those questions.
And then, I decided, okay, I have to just accept the fact that I'm disabled, right? And that's a kind of a mental leap. And
sure.
I made that leap, and I filled out the form, and the relief that I had when I got that letter in the post to say, Robert, you've been approved, and now you're going to get this, right? And it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I could now say, and what is the beauty of the disability allowance is that I'm allowed to earn, I think it's about €200 a week on top of that without any penalty.
Nice.
Okay. So that's fantastic. So say, for example, something came across and I was able to do something for a couple of days or whatever. I wouldn't feel, oh my God, I can't do this because I'm going to lose this or whatever. Right. It's there, but also psychologically, it's of huge importance to feel that you're able to do something, right?
Yes.
Be of value, that you are not just sitting there on the couch looking at, see whether the paint is going to peel off or not.
Right. There's dignity in work. There is. Dignity in,
and whether it's voluntary or whether it
Absolutely.
is paid work, it actually doesn't matter. The fact that you are doing something that helps to contribute to your society is positive. And the great thing is that you're not being penalized.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I will say here we have the SSDI, the Social Security Disability Insurance, which is rather difficult to get. And as you mentioned, we might have to hire an attorney and fight to get it. But there is, I will say this, and I'm just learning about it, but there is something called the Ticket to Work program. So you are allowed to work, and take in a certain amount. There is a threshold. I want to say it's $1,200 a month. I can't remember. But anyway, so that does exist. So maybe we are making strides. But I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're going to PT, so I want to let you go. But I want to thank you so much for doing this. And also, you mentioned your blog. Can you tell us how can people find that? And also, I want to see these Instagram pictures. And you said you have a Facebook page. Can you give us all of those URLs?
So it's all really, really simple. So I've got a 30-minute life, a 30-minute life, and the website is a 30minutelife.com. On Facebook, I'm at a 30-minute life. On Twitter, I'm at a 30-minute life. And on Instagram, I'm at a 30-minute life.
Excellent. So, that helps those cog foggers.
it makes it. A 30-minute life is a bit long, but that actually is my life. After 30 minutes, my headache gets worse. After 30 minutes, my concentration starts to drop. Like before this call, I took extra pain medication so that I can do the call. Right?
Well, thank you.
But that's what I do. You know what's going to happen.
30-minute increments.
Yeah,
exactly. Got it.
And so that's my limit. But there are certain times when you have to, push the frontier a little bit.
Well, we appreciate you pushing the frontier for us. And the 30-minute, that's a 30, not a THIRTY, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. 30. Perfect. All right. Well, Robert, thank you so much. This has been absolutely enlightening. I know I can just hear people booking their flights to Ireland now. It sounds so idyllic. We can't wait. So we will check out all of your blog and all of your social stuff, and just so appreciate you taking the time and energy that it took for you to answer all these questions and to really have this in-depth conversation and give us a peek into what it's like having MS in Ireland. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Take care. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to the FUMS podcast show. Be sure to subscribe to it so you won't miss an episode. You can do that right on the website at FUMSnow.com. While you're there, sign up for the free email list so you'll be among the first to know of any new findings in MS research, new therapies and products, as well as any blog posts and podcast episodes I release. Want to chat with others in the FUMS community? Join us on Facebook at FUMS Now. Thanks again, and don't forget to talk to the stupid disease as it deserves. Tell it FUMS every day.